This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
The story of Marico is a David Goliath type story. It's the story of a young, relatively unknown Indian company taking on mighty multinational companies at a game that they know best, marketing. And that too in the consumer goods sector, in the fast-moving consumer goods sector. It's also the story of a young man who left college, born into a business family, but without really a direction, but ready to seize an opportunity when he saw one. And it was on that spirit of enterprise that this company got built.
I would say Saffola and Parachute both. Parachute as a brand is much bigger than Saffola.
But
Saffola is
came
more
first?
prestigious.
Saffola came first?
I think both, when I joined the organization, both the brands existed. But the attention to paid to these two brands was limited. And most of the edible oil business was packed in bulk tins, big 15-liter tins, and supplied to industries in terms of refined oils. And this formed a very small percentage of our total turnover. I think it was contributing to less than 50 lakhs turnover at that time. And I realized that Saffola was being sold in certain pockets of Bombay and Delhi. And if it is sold in, say, South Bombay and certain parts of Delhi, why can't it be sold all over the country? And the same thing was with Parachute. It was being sold in certain parts of Maharashtra, mainly the Vidarbha belt, and certain parts of Gujarat. So I just, out of sheer curiosity, I just went and toured these areas. I took a car, I remember, from Nagpur to all the way to Aurangabad, and I just toured around. And at that time I realized that, well, if we really concentrated on this part, improve our distribution and did proper branding, there was a good potential for us to grow. So from then onwards, I have been at it for the last many years.
And you started to then, you made the packaging smaller. Was that the secret?
Packaging was existing at that time, but I think the key shift I brought out in Parachute was converting it from tins to plastics. The whole market, and we had a very negligible share in coconut oil market. There were other players who were the market leaders. But whenever we have done something differently in the past, we've seen a big jump in our turnover. So what we did at that time was we converted the whole market from tins to plastics. Tins is not attractive, and you can't keep it on a dressing table. It's inconvenient to use because you have to dip your fingers and use it. As against that, plastics was much more modern. You could put it on a dressing table. And we saw a good opportunity in converting from tins to plastics. Plastics cost also was much lower than the tin cost, so we had higher margins in plastics. But there was a lot of resistance from the trade in terms of selling plastics. Trade was very, very reluctant to sell plastics because in the past, before us, somebody else had launched coconut oil in plastics. And they had a lot of problems in terms of rat biting and things like that. So we had to design a bottle which was rat bite proof, and we actually designed a bottle which was difficult for the rat to hold, and we put them in rat cages. And at the end of it, we had a bottle which was difficult for the rat to chew.
Harsh Mariwala can be credited with creating Marico, but the story of the Mariwala family goes further back to when a 13-year-old boy came to Bombay from Kutch in search of work.
Boys from Kutch were being sent out to Bombay, Calcutta and various places to to make a living because there was hardly anything that Kutch could offer. No education. There was no question of education in those days either. And there was no other career opportunity. So they were all being sent out to Bombay, Kerala. Some of them even went to Africa and places like that. But he came to Bombay apparently, and that's how he started his career. And he started with brokerage and ultimately became a commission agent. And he started his firm. Originally, he had a partner, which that firm was started sometimes in 1890s or so. But I think he fell out with his partner, and then he went off on his own in 1911. And our parent firm, Kanji Muraji, was started in 1911 by him and my father. They were commission agents. Commission agents in those days were representing the spice merchants from Kerala. And they would be based in Bombay or any other big city. There was the railway connection between Kerala and other parts of the country was very poor in those days. There was hardly any, or it was non-existent, one could say. So they would ship their goods to Bombay by country crafts. The commission agents would store the goods for the merchants, and as and when buyers from upcountry like Bombay market or Calcutta or Amritsar or Karachi, they came to Bombay for purchase, they would sell it on behalf of their principals in Kerala and take 1.5% commission on that. That's how it started off.